Okay, so now that we've defined clear information requirements, it's time to talk about how we actually track them throughout the project. Because great planning only really matters if it's followed by great execution too.
From our experience, one of the biggest frustrations isn't setting the requirements. It's trying to figure out halfway through if things are actually on track.
One of the biggest challenges is that every project is made up of multiple teams, each with their own processes. Tracking deliverables gets messy when every team manages their own lists, and those lists aren't connected back to the actual contract requirements.
Yeah, even if the contract is well written, and that's a big if, there's often no clear way for everyone to track progress in a central place against those requirements. So it kind of becomes disconnected straight from the signing. You create the contract based on the set of requirements. Everyone hopefully agrees to it. You sign off on it. But then what happens is everyone goes off then and creates their own set of lists. And usually it's a completely separate team. It's pre-construction versus construction, or it's design versus construction. And really that gets lost in that workflow. Have you seen where maybe 5 teams throughout that process have a different list of what they're tracking? I remember it well. Louis, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've seen it where every discipline on a project has their own list that they're following. And there's not really that one source of truth that they can all go back to and say, this is where we're at and what we're doing at this point of time. Traditional project management often suffers when each team maintains their own separate to-do lists. Architects have one list, contractors have another, and then there's the consultants who have another.
And none of those lists are clearly tied back to the TIDPs, MIDPs, or the contract information requirements, which creates confusion, delays, and duplicate work.
Yeah, teams will always have their own internal lists, but without one simple central list that's connected to what's actually agreed upon, you're left chasing updates through endless emails and threads and spreadsheets and meeting minutes. It's pretty challenging, and it's not very much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. A Master Information Delivery Plan, or MIDP, is critical. It ties together the Task Information Delivery Plans, TIDPs, from all the different teams, creating a unified view of the important deliverables.
ISO 19650 states that these tasks should have dates and dependencies too. So seeing the TIDPs in a timeline view allows you to actually plan, track, and reforecast delivery, not just hope things show up on time.
Absolutely. Having both the grid view, which is like a spreadsheet, but then flipping between that and the timeline view to understand dependencies, handoffs, responsibility, time, when people start, when people finish, so that others can understand when they can start their work, because work can only start when others have finished maybe some other thing. So those dependencies are critical. And in Planoly, this happens seamlessly. You structure the deliverables, you assign the dates, you connect the dependencies, and visualize it. So there's never any doubt about who's doing what and by when.
Imagine if every team could open one page and see exactly what they owe and when. How would that change your project?
Yeah, that would be perfect. I think that a lot of teams are spending a lot of time updating many disparate to-do lists, and then also spending additional time when people ask them, how's it going? Can you give me an update? And that's just the painful process. You end up sending emails, and then that person has to collect all of those pieces of feedback, go and update another report somewhere else and share that. By that point, it's out of date, and it's also causing a lot of wasted work.
Yeah. Instead of chasing people for updates, what if teams could simply update their own progress live?
That's where a centralized Kanban board comes in. Teams can see a filtered view of only their own tasks directly tied to the contract requirements.
Yep. So you can filter for certain people's or certain teams' deliverables and drag and drop the tasks to status them, whether they're in progress or proposed or approved, whether they're completed or verified. And when you are saying it's completed, you can even attach the requirements, the deliverables, to this task as you status it, so that everything is connected from the requirement to the assignment, to the contract, to the agreement, to the deliverable, and also all versioned.
The best part is that each of these deliverable or tasks are directly linked to the original contract requirement. So teams aren't just updating random to-do lists. They are proving that they fulfilled their obligations from that contract.
This transparency makes it easier to validate work, reduces disputes, and most importantly, helps teams to be paid on time.
Why does this matter? Why is this so important for projects to make sure that they get it right?
Well, without a centralized live tracking system, teams just simply work in silos. Deadlines are missed without any warning, and updating the plan feels like detective work.
Yep. So we're suggesting that with the right structure, everyone sees exactly what's expected. Progress can be transparent across the whole project, and changes are managed early enough so that they don't cause a crisis. And hopefully the deliverables that we are so importantly creating are tied directly to the contract requirements and therefore tied directly to payments. And this will strengthen trust between all of the teams and make sure that everyone is doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons.
Yeah, tracking isn't about oversight. It's about enabling teams to focus on delivering because they have the clarity and structure they need.
Okay, so we've talked about document management. We've talked about setting up your requirements and then getting everything into a contract. And we've even just then talked about how we are going about setting up the progress and making sure that everyone is communicating clearly. But what about the quality? How can we ensure that it's not just delivered, but it's of a high quality? Let's move on to part 5, where we will talk about model verification and quality assurance. We'll see you there.